guys, working on a little project inspired by NES Maniac. Not exactly anything he's done, but inspired by some of his work. He does some beautiful cardboard vehicles, and on some of them he's actually made the gears to go from the motor to the axle, cutting them out of cardboard himself. So I'm going to see if I can do a rubber band powered car using cardboard wheels, cardboard gears. I've drawn these out, or at least there's a program I've used on the internet and printed them out. Nice big lumpy gears. I've got this hardboard, which is very thick card. That's a couple of wheels, and this is the two gears, or will be. What I plan to do is actually cut that out, stick it on the gear, or stick it on the disc, and then try and cut out each tooth individually. That's going to take forever, so I'm not going to video it. I'm just telling you that's what I'm going to do. Stick them on there and then see if I can cut them out. And I've made these big sort of toothy teeth because I actually want them to go that way round, not that way, that way, so that I can go from that rotation to that rotation. I don't know if they'll be strong enough, but I just thought I'd give it a try. When he did it, he's using an electric motor to turn the gears. I'll put a link in the video description to the particular one of his videos that I was looking at. I'm subscribed to him. He does all sorts of wonderful stuff, but he does make some rather nice vehicles. I've glued the paper to the disc. I started off trying to actually cut the teeth out with a knife, but I've now decided I'm going to saw them out using a junior hacksaw. Cut the vertical lines like that, and then cut the bottom out like this. And this is very hard card, so I'm going to do it. This is, like I said originally, this is going to take forever to do this. And that does then come out relatively easily. And then trim up the edges of each tooth on the cutting board. I may end up having to actually trim it up with a little file as well. But that's the general idea. So I'm going to saw down each side, cut across the bottom, and then trim it. See how we get on. Got to be very careful with this because we don't want to bend these teeth because that will ruin them. So I've got to support it underneath as I'm cutting it. Well, there's some progress. I've cut each slot all the way round. I've now got to trim each tooth out. That's the big one done. I've gone round all the edges and given it a coat of super glue to try and stiffen it up. Still got to go around there and trim it a bit, I think, with a file or something just to finish it off. But that's the general idea. So I'll finish this one now. And that's the second one. I think I'm going to have to go round with a file or some sandpaper to trim these up a bit. If it's going to work at all. I'm looking at this one, I could probably have made it with much smaller teeth rather than the big teeth that I've got, because they don't need to go right in. It's supposed to mesh right at the tip there. We'll see. Now I need to make a bearing assembly or a spindle. Can't quite think what to call it. Got a bit of bicycle spoke here. I've bent at right angles with an extra bit of a kink in it. So I'm going to glue that on there. I'll use super glue and baking powder to make a hard join. I've got a bead to go on there, and then some plastic tubing to go on there. So this is the bit that we need to link to the body of the car. And then I need to bend a hook in there to attach the rubber band, like a rubber band powered aeroplane, where this would be the propeller. Rather a long build, this one, so I'll give you an update. Got my bit of plastic tubing, bent bicycle spoke and our hardboard gear in position. Rubber band. And then at this end, we've got another bit of plastic tubing, another bit of bent wire, so we can actually wind it up and then hold it in place. And at this end, it will spin. I haven't wound it up very much, as you can see there. Give it a little bit more, just so we can get a general idea. Yeah, when I've done these in the past, or this type of thing in the past, I've found I need quite a lot of rubber bands to get enough power. So we'll see. Next thing to do is to get the axle at the right location so the teeth mesh at the right depth. We don't want them all the way in because they'll jam. We don't want them too far apart or they'll miss. So it's got to be around about there somewhere. So I'm going to cut slots in the back here for the axle tubes to go in so that I can adjust the distance. And then when I've got it right, glue them in position. Just in case it all goes horribly wrong, we'll have a little demonstration with it standing up here off the ground. So, wind it up. If I put my finger there, that'll stop it turning when I don't want it to. Should you do just to demonstrate? Take your finger off. So the question is, how much power does it need to actually drive it on the ground? Obviously a little bit more power than that. Whoa, movement. I thought we'd need a much more powerful rubber band than that. Oh, brilliant. Oh, I'm really impressed. Well, I've got to say this is one of my most complicated builds, simply because we had to cut those gears out of hardboard. But it does appear to work. I'm a bit worried about running it up and down the kitchen just in case it smashes into something and ruins it. Summary time. What have we got? We've got a rubber band powered car powered by a twisted rubber band, like a model aeroplane. So that unwinds, that turns that gear, which turns that gear, which drives the back axle. The gears are made from hardboard, that's thick card, and so are the wheels. The chassis is made from thick cardboard. I've actually used that chassis on another car, but I cut it about so it would work for this one. The back axle is actually a fiberglass tube, and it's in hard plastic tubes for the axle tubes. And they're actually adjusted to keep the gear in the right place so it meshes properly. And having said that, sometimes it still goes out of alignment and it does jam occasionally. The front hacksaw is just a bamboo skewer or barbecue skewer. A couple of little bits of drinking straw there to keep the wheels away from the bodywork. We've got this winder that I made at the front here so we can wind up the rubber band, but I've actually found it's just as easy to just turn the axle and wind it up that way. So that does the job. When I first built it, I was able to get it to run with just a single thin rubber band, but as soon as I put the extra weight on it of the camera, I found it wouldn't run consistently, so I've actually put several more rubber bands on there to give us plenty of power. And it works fine. That was a lot of effort cutting out those gears, so unless you particularly want to do it, I wouldn't even attempt doing that. If you had one of those 3D printers, life would be a lot easier, but that's hand cut from Hardboard, which is this stuff, thick card, and I actually coated all the gears with super glue to give them a hard surface. So each tooth is coated with super glue, which is why they're shining a little bit. That's a bicycle spoke bent up to the right shape, plastic tube, plastic bead, just to give us a bit of well, a good rubbing surface. I think that's it. So yeah, that was hard work putting that one together. But very satisfying when it actually worked.